Mark Sim is a senior journalist with the Gleaner Communication Group. Joining us now for the International Week. That was, hello, Sir Marks, and let us go. Can Trump pardon himself, sir?
Apparently, it's possible. Some people think. Some say no. But he definitely is contemplating it.
Why is there no consensus on this issue?
Because, remember, many of these things are based on precedents. Not everything is written into the Constitution. Some of these things you have to imply. And this is a matter that has been considered in the past. In fact, it was discussed, apparently, by Richard Nixon and some of his aides during the Watergate crisis. But ultimately, that was not pursued. And he was pardoned subsequent to his resignation by his successor, Gerald Ford. There's indeed an argument that he and Ford had got a deal before Ford became his vice president, but that was never really proven.
Almost like Yeltsin and Putin.
Yes, but he can definitely pardon his relatives and aides, and even if he does not go the extra route of trying to pardon himself, by pardoning them, he may also place himself in some legal jeopardy, it is felt, because that could be viewed as obstruction of justice, that he's doing this to shut them up so that they do not testify concerning his own activities in respect of the possible collusion with Russia.
There's also his surrogates are saying, you know, we're not even talking about presidential pardon, so why are you guys talking about this?
But who raised it?
True. That's the point I'm making. So it's interesting. He has raised it, but his surrogates are saying, we're not talking about this. Everybody's on a different page, it seems.
They are trying to make the argument, his aides that is, that it is the media, members of the media, who are raising all kinds of things concerning Trump. When Trump is the one who, almost every day he cuts across their own message. And so, no matter what week he says it is, whether it is Buy America Week or any other week, Infrastructure Week,
find a way for crash
it ends up being about whatever Trump tweets.
Yes.
And this is becoming more and more a crisis for him.
Yeah.
Because now that there is talk that the special counsel, Mueller, is going to look at his financial dealings. Now, this apparently is what has really caused him to panic.
He's going crazy. Well, his messaging always off from that of his team. As you say, he seems to cut across it. Spicy wasn't doing so well, so Spicy is now of the past. And so in comes the mooch, Anthony Scaramucci, Mr. Smooth Talker.
And Sean Spicer made a fool of himself specifically on the instruction of Trump. So, for example, when he went out immediately after the inauguration, to utter that nonsense about this being the biggest crowd ever, he did that on Trump's instruction to please Trump. Nobody ultimately will be able to satisfy Trump unless that person is Donald Trump himself.
Yeah.
So this new guy, I don't expect that to last either.
I saw Kellyanne Conway yesterday actually trying to justify her statement, alternative facts, and saying that everybody knew what Sean Spicer meant was that there weren't more physical people at the inauguration, but across all the platforms across the world. That's what he meant, and it was just everybody else. Anyway, I don't even know what they're saying. Did you see Scaramucci on his first day at the podium, and what is your assessment? He loves the president, we know that much, because he said it about 100,000 times.
He said that so many times, and that is, I think, after he set about trying to delete the tweets.
I know.
He had
in the name of transparency.
Against Trump himself. I don't know what, I'm not sure what his motivation is, but I don't expect it to last. And if it does last, it will be a rather bizarre few months or years to come with him there.
Wow.
But I think this smooth talk, people will get over that very soon.
Yes, and I think he fancies himself quite a smooth talker, but we'll see when the test really comes.
Yes.
All right, so let's change lanes a little bit now and head over to Yemen, where the world's worst cholera outbreak is occurring, according to the UN. What's happening? Well,
that's a consequence of the ongoing war. The sewage system and the water systems have been blasted to nothingness by the bombs falling on Yemen. And this arises from an internal conflict about 2 years or so ago, where the government that was then backed by Saudi Arabia came under pressure and attack from another group, the Houthi rebels as they were called. And that group is backed by Iran. And there is this deadly struggle between Iran and Saudi Arabia for control of the Middle East or strategic locations in the Middle East. And of course, they come from two different traditions of the Muslim faith, Shia versus Sunni. Iran being Shia, Saudi Arabia being Sunni. The United States has been giving its support to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has been using, and they recently got about $100 million worth more of arms from the United States, or more.
Yes, that's after Mr. Trump was
Yes,
here. Yeah.
and they have been using those weapons to telling effect on the people of Yemen, and the children are suffering immensely. So the cholera crisis is related, of course, to the fact that the infrastructure has been destroyed, the water sources have become contaminated, and the poor, vulnerable children, in particular in Yemen, are suffering, and the death toll is mounting. So it is not just now the physical impact of the bombing, but also the impact on the population by virtue of diseases.
Okay.
And there is no end in sight for this particular conflict.
Terrible, very sad, very sad. Thank you very much, Sir Marks, for taking us through. Eyes fixed this week on the testimonies of Kushner, Manafort, and who else?
Well,
Jr.
I'm not sure that, I think those...
In camera.
They certainly, in the case of Kushner,
Yes.
he will testify today and tomorrow in camera.
Yes.
The other two, I think they have been put on hold.
I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, that's it for our trip around the world. Earl Moxham, senior journalist, Ajar Dina Group Communication. Thank you for sharing your news. In 5 is next with Dara Smith.